how do you conceive building these kinds of machine learning models or even these products? I imagine you're taking advantage of a lot of natural language data, lots of stories. And then how do you transform that into a playable product when there's no quantitative error function to optimize? So I know you've described that to me personally, that this kind of the way that you've set up these machine learning models, there's no cost function that you're minimizing, say, or an objective function that you're maximizing. So how do you frame your machine learning models and the product around without that kind of cost function that probably most of us are used to?
So I'm going to make what may be a provocative statement and say that as data scientists, we tend to lean into working on things that have quantitative notions of correctness.
Correct.
And there are a large set of things we could build, but where we don't have those error metrics.
Right.
And there are a ton of products that are incredibly valuable that exist today where we are using machine learning or data in a way where we don't have those things, and they are all around us. They are even things like web search as a canonical example of something where, yeah, right? You know, you're going to say, oh, of course there are quantitative ways we do this, but they're kind of crappy, right? They don't really solve the problem of given this, global set of documents, which is the absolute right one for this query, for this person in this context at this time, right? And so I'm going to say that our problem here is not unique, and that if we're, thinking as a room full of data-oriented people about the kinds of problems we even think about solving, I often find that there are unexplored opportunities in these problems that are messy because they don't have some pure notion of correctness. So that's my controversial statement, and I can't tell. I think everyone's very grumpy now. So we'll see how this one goes over.
There's some thumbs up there in the crowd.
Maybe. So then we have to ask
from the bioinformaticians. I know that's the bioinformatician section of the audience.
Well, they're way in the back, so they must be cool, right? So we have to ask questions when we think about building products about how we know that a product is good. Like, what is the experience we're trying to create? How do people react to that? Can we decompose our our problems into things that do have notions of correctness? Can we test our approaches against subsets of our data where we can, look at it, we can rank things, we can know what we can expect? There are ways to approach that, but I think as a data person, it requires accepting that there is no one right quantitative answer. And then really thinking about the product experience you're trying to create and how you're going to have people, in our case, play test the thing. And just to give some more concrete examples of what we're doing at Hidden Door, we have a system that is telling stories, that is deciding, what might happen next. And sometimes it comes up with stuff that is completely expected, but if it does too much of that, it's boring.
Right.
Sometimes it comes up with stuff that is bizarre as heck, right? But if it does too much of that, it's just a weird machine that does bizarre stuff. It's not fun. And so how do we come to this notion of fun? It's a mix of the boring and the unexpected. And so we do indeed have a formula for the mix we are trying to optimize for.
Right.
But it is not something that is purely quantitative, and we just sort of have to accept that and work it into the product development and design process.
So you can stop me if I'm on the wrong track here, but it sounds like sometimes, even though ultimately the product, the experience that we're trying to deliver doesn't have something quantitative, we could still break the problem into parts where we can have quantifiable objective functions that we can train with gradient descent.
Sometimes. And then we can use things like A/B testing and multi-arm bandit testing when you have a sufficiently large audience of people, which we do not, because we have not released our thing yet. So, so that's a bit of a trick.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be fun.